Part 5. Guardians Rising. The Valorian homeworld appeared on their screens like a ghost. Once this planet had been the center of a mighty empire. Now it was silent and dead, its cities crumbling ruins beneath toxic clouds. The Hall of Sentinels stood at the planet's equator, a massive pyramid that had survived 3,000 years of abandonment. Dravith fleet is 6 hours behind us, Bora reported from her station. We don't have much time. Captain Heejin guided the steadfast dawn through the atmosphere, with the 3 remnant ships following close behind. They landed near the pyramid's entrance. The moment the ramp lowered, Taeyang felt something through his bond with Kanth. Recognition, memory, grief. "This is your home," Taeyang said quietly. "Was," Kanth replied. "Home is where you choose to be. I choose to be with you." They entered the pyramid together. Daehoon and Minji followed, along with Bora and a small security team. The interior was vast and dark, lit only by their portable lights. Ancient symbols covered every surface, glowing faintly with residual power. "The Hall of Sentinels is deep inside," Daehoon said, consulting his scanner. "At the pyramid's heart." They walked through corridors that had not seen life in millennia. Taeyang felt the weight of history around him. This place was sacred. These weren't just ruins. This was a tomb for a civilization that had destroyed itself. Finally, they reached it. A massive chamber, so large that their lights barely reached the ceiling. And there, standing in perfect rows, were the Guardians, 37 of them. Each one unique. Different sizes, different designs, different weapons, but all of them frozen, waiting. Taeyang approached the nearest one slowly. It was smaller than Kanth, built for speed rather than strength. Its armor was decorated with symbols representing wind and sky. "How do we wake them?" he asked. "Carefully," Kanth said. "Very carefully. They have been dormant for so long. If we shock their systems, we could damage them beyond repair." Taeyang studied the Guardian's design. Through his bond with Kanth, he could understand the underlying principles. Valorian engineering was different from human technology, but the basics were the same. Power flow, neural activation, system initialization. "I can do this," he said. "But Kanth, I need your help. I need you to connect with them. Let them know they're safe, that they have a choice." Kanth stepped forward and placed one hand on the dormant Guardian's chest. Taeyang pulled out his tools and began working on the power systems. Minji and Daehoon helped, translating the symbols, explaining the protocols. It took 3 hours to wake the first Guardian. When its eyes finally flickered to life, Taeyang held his breath. The Guardian looked around in confusion. Then it saw Kanth and immediately dropped into a combat stance. Kanth spoke quickly in ancient Valorian. Taeyang couldn't understand all the words, but he felt the meaning through their bond. Peace, safety, choice. The newly awakened Guardian hesitated. Then it spoke, its voice rough from disuse. "The war, is it over?" "The war ended 3,000 years ago," Kanth said. "Everyone we knew is gone. But we survive, and we are free." "Free?" The Guardian seemed confused by the concept. "Free to choose," Taeyang said. Minji translated his words. "You don't have to serve anyone. You can decide your own path. You can rest, you can explore, you can find new purpose. It's your choice." The Guardian looked at Taeyang for a long moment. Then it knelt, not in submission but in gratitude. "Thank you, small one. I choose to rest for now. I am tired." They moved to the next Guardian. And the next? Each awakening took time, but Taeyang and Kanth developed a rhythm. They were getting faster, but they weren't fast enough. Dravith fleet just entered orbit. Bora's voice crackled over the communicator. "They're landing troops. Multiple dropships heading for the pyramid." "How many are awake?" Captain Heejin asked urgently. 7, Taeyang said. "We need more time." "Time we don't have," Bora replied. "They'll be here in 20 minutes. Daehoon looked at the rows of still dormant Guardians. "There's another way. A faster way. We could activate them all at once using the pyramid's central power system. But it's dangerous. The shock could destroy their neural matrices, or they could wake up confused and angry," Bora added. 30 warriors with no context, no guidance in the middle of an invasion. Taeyang looked at Kanth. Through their bond, he felt the Guardians' conflict. Risk their brothers and sisters or let the Dravith enslave them? "There's a third option," Taeyang said suddenly. "We don't wake them all. We give them information first. Kanth, can you access the pyramid systems? Upload data to their dormant minds? Kanth's eyes brightened.
Yes, I can do that.
I can send them memories, knowledge, show them what has happened. Show them they have a choice. Do it, Taeyang said. While you do that, I'll prepare the power systems for a simultaneous awakening. We'll give them information first, then power. When they wake, they'll already know what's happening. They worked frantically. Kanth connected to the pyramid's ancient network, uploading 3,000 years of history into the sleeping guardians' minds. Taeyang and Minji rewired power conduits, preparing to bring all systems online at once. Dravith troops have entered the pyramid. Bora's voice was tight with tension. 5 minutes. Almost there, Taeyang muttered, his hands flying over the controls. Kanth? Upload complete, Kanth said. They know everything. They know they have a choice. Then let's wake them up, Taeyang said. He placed his hand on the activation switch. Everyone get back. He pressed the switch. The entire pyramid blazed with light. Power surged through systems that had been dead for millennia. And one by one, 30 guardians opened their eyes. The awakening was not gentle. 30 war machines suddenly conscious after 3,000 years, all processing new information at once. The chamber filled with the sound of metal moving, systems initializing, weapons powering up. Then Dravith soldiers burst into the chamber, weapons raised. Secure the guardians, their commander shouted. Subdue them now. But the guardians did not move. They stood still, their eyes glowing in the darkness, processing everything they had learned. Processing the choice they had been given. One guardian, taller than the others, stepped forward. Its voice boomed through the chamber. We have seen what you intend. You would make us slaves. You would take our choice as the Valorians once did. You are machines. The Dravith commander snarled. You have no rights. You are property. No, the tall guardian said. And suddenly all 30 guardians moved as one, not attacking, but positioning themselves between the Dravith soldiers and Taeyang's group. We are people, we choose. And we choose freedom. The Dravith commander raised his weapon. Then we'll destroy you and salvage what's left. You will try, Kanth said, stepping forward to stand with its fellows. But know this, we fight not because we are commanded. We fight because we choose to protect those who gave us choice. The battle that followed was brief and decisive. The Guardians had spent 3,000 years in forced sleep, but they had not forgotten how to fight. They moved with precision and power, disarming Dravith soldiers without killing them, driving them back through the pyramid's corridors. Taeyang watched in awe. 37 Guardians, each one unique, each one choosing to defend freedom, not because they had to, because they wanted to. More Dravith troops arrived. The remnant ships engaged the Dravith fleet in orbit. The battle spread throughout the pyramid and into the ruins beyond. But the Guardians were unstoppable, not because they were the strongest, but because they fought for something real, something worth fighting for. Finally, the Dravith retreated. Their fleet limped away, their troops scattered. The pyramid fell silent again. Taeyang stood among the Guardians, breathing hard. Through his bond with Kanth, he felt pride. And through Kanth, he felt the gratitude of 30 other warriors. The tall Guardian approached him. You are the one called Taeyang, the one who restored Kanth, the one who gave us choice. I just did what was right, Taeyang said. You did what no one else would do, the Guardian replied. You saw us as people. You treated us with respect. You gave us freedom. For that you have our eternal gratitude. What will you do now? Taeyang asked. The Guardians looked at each other. Some spoke of exploring the galaxy. Others wanted to rest to process 3,000 years of change. A few wanted to stay on the homeworld, protecting the ruins and remembering the fallen. 3 Guardians approached Daehoon. We would bond with the remnant clans, they said, if they will have us. If they promise to treat us as partners, Daehoon bowed deeply. We would be honored, and we promise on the memory of our ancestors to never again treat you as anything less than equals. Over the following days, the pyramid became a place of new beginnings. Guardians made their choices. Some left immediately, eager to see the galaxy. Others stayed, talking with Taeyang, asking about the human concept of freedom, of choice, of purpose. Minji documented everything. This was the greatest discovery in xenoarchaeological history. Not just ancient technology, but proof that artificial beings could evolve beyond their programming, could become truly alive. On their last night on the homeworld, Taeyang stood outside the pyramid looking up at the stars. Kanth stood beside him as always. What do we do now? Taeyang asked. We return home, Kanth said. Back to your salvage station. Back to fixing things. Part 4. Learning to walk together. Life changed after the confrontation with the three fleets. Taeyang and Kanth returned to the salvage station as heroes, but they didn't feel like heroes. They felt like two beings trying to figure out how to share one life. The bond between them was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Traditional Valorian bonds had been master and servant. The warrior commanded, the guardian obeyed. But Taeyang and Kanth were partners, equal partners, and that meant learning everything from scratch. Their first real test came 3 days after their return. Captain Heejin asked them to help move some heavy cargo containers. Simple work. Basic station maintenance. Taeyang stood beside the containers, mentally measuring weight and distance. Through the bond, he could feel Kanth's readiness. Okay, Taeyang said. Let's just pick up that container and move it to Bay 7. He felt his intention flow through the bond. Kanth responded immediately, reaching for the container. But Taeyang had underestimated the Guardian's strength. Kanth grabbed the container with full force, and it crumpled like paper. The contents, delicate alien electronics, scattered across the floor. Wait, no! Taeyang shouted, but it was too late. Captain Hyejin stared at the wreckage, her face unreadable. Then she sighed. That was worth 50,000 credits. I'm sorry, Taeyang said. We're still learning how to coordinate. Clearly, Hyejin said. But there was no real anger in her voice. Try again. With a cheaper container this time, they tried again. And again. And again. Each time something went wrong. Either Kanth moved too fast or Taeyang's instructions weren't clear enough. Or they both tried to adjust at the same time and ended up doing the opposite of what they intended. By the end of the day, they had accidentally demolished a wall, crushed 3 more containers, and somehow managed to get Kanth's leg stuck in a cargo lift. Minji found it hilarious. She sat on a crate laughing until tears ran down her face. You two are supposed to be this amazing warrior team, and you can't even move boxes. Taeyang wanted to be frustrated, but through the bond he felt Kanth's own amusement. The Guardian was learning what humor felt like. It's not funny, Taeyang said, but he was smiling too. We need to get better at this. You will, Minji said, wiping her eyes. You're learning to be 2 minds with one purpose. That takes time, she was right. Over the following weeks, Taeyang and Kanth practiced. They started with small tasks, picking up tools, opening doors, simple movements that required coordination. Gradually, they improved. Their bond deepened. Taeyang learned to feel through Kanth's sensors, to see the world as the Guardian saw it. Kanth learned to understand human emotions, human limitations, human creativity. But their peace didn't last long. 2 months after the confrontation, Elder Daehoon arrived at the station. He came alone in a small ship, requesting permission to speak with Taeyang and Kanth. They met in one of the station's conference rooms. Daehoon was an old man, his face lined with age, his eyes sharp with intelligence. He wore traditional Valorian robes covered in the same symbols that decorated Kanth's armor. Thank you for seeing me, Daehoon said, bowing slightly. I owe you both an apology. I was wrong to claim ownership of Kanth. The ancient texts are clear, though we had forgotten. Guardians were meant to choose. To partner, not to serve as slaves. We accept your apology, Taeyang said. Through the bond, he felt Kanth's agreement. Daehoon sat down heavily. But I have come with troubling news. The remnant clans have discovered something. We found ancient records hidden in our archives. Records of the Valorian homeworld. Records of what happened to our people. What happened to them? Minji asked. She had been studying Valorian history for years. This was the question that had haunted every scholar. We destroyed ourselves, Daehoon said quietly. A civil war. Valorian against Valorian. And in that war, the Guardians were used as weapons, forced to fight each other. They had no choice because we had taken their ability to choose. When the war ended, our civilization was shattered. The survivors left the homeworld in shame, vowing never to return. Kanth spoke, its voice filled with sadness. How many Guardians died in this war? Hundreds, Daehoon said. But not all. Our records indicate that 37 Guardians remain on the homeworld, in the Hall of Sentinels. They were placed in stasis, unable to wake, unable to die, waiting for warriors who would never return. Taeyang felt a surge of emotion through the bond. Kanth's grief, Kanth's horror at the thought of others like it, trapped in endless sleep. We have to help them, Taeyang said immediately. That is why I am here, Daehun said. But there is a problem. The Dravith Imperium has also discovered these records. They are planning an expedition to the homeworld. They want to claim the Guardians and force them into service, into slavery. How long do we have? Bora asked. She had been standing guard at the door, but now she stepped forward. 3 weeks, Daehun said. Maybe less. Their fleet is already being assembled. Captain Heejin, who had been listening quietly, stood up. This is bigger than a salvage station. We need to contact the human military, the Galactic Council. Get official support. That will take too long, Taeyang said. By the time anyone organizes an official response, the Dravith will already have the Guardians. Then what do you suggest? Heejin asked. Taeyang looked at Kanth. Through their bond, he felt the Guardians' determination. And he felt something else. A deep, ancient loyalty to those 37 sleeping warriors. They were Kanth's brothers and sisters, in a way. They deserved freedom just as Kanth had been given freedom. We go, Taeyang said. We get there first. We wake the Guardians and give them the same choice I gave Kanth. Let them decide their own fate. With what army? Bora asked. The Dravith are sending a military fleet. You have 1 Guardian and a courier ship. I'll go, Minji said. You'll need a translator. I'll go too, Bora said after a moment. Someone needs to keep you alive. The remnant clans will send ships, Daehun said. Not many, but some. Warriors who believe as I do, that Guardians deserve choice. Captain Heejin rubbed her temples. This is insane. You're talking about infiltrating a dead planet ahead of a military fleet, waking ancient war machines and hoping they don't all decide to kill you. Yes, Taeyang said simply. That's exactly what we're talking about. Heejin stared at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. You know what? I've spent 20 years running a boring salvage station. I could use some excitement. I'll get the Steadfast Dawn ready, and I'll call in some favors. We'll put together a crew. Over the next week they prepared. The Steadfast Dawn was upgraded with better shields and faster engines. Daehun brought 3 small Valorian ships, each crewed by remnant warriors who believed in the cause. They weren't soldiers, but they were determined. Taeyang spent every spare moment with Kanth, deepening their bond. They practiced combat scenarios in the station's cargo bays, not because Taeyang wanted to fight, but because he knew they might have no choice. And slowly, something beautiful happened. Taeyang started to move with Kanth's strength. Kanth started to think with Taeyang's creativity. They were becoming more than human and guardian. They were becoming something new. On the last night before departure, Taeyang couldn't sleep. He sat in his quarters, staring at the ceiling. Kanth stood in the corner, always present through their bond. Are you afraid? Kanth asked. Yes, Taeyang admitted. I'm a mechanic. I fix things. I'm not a hero. You are wrong, Kanth said. A hero is not someone who is unafraid. A hero is someone who acts despite fear, someone who sees others suffering and chooses to help. You are more heroic than any warrior I have ever known. Taeyang felt warmth flow through their bond. Affection, trust, friendship. Thank you, Kanth, he said quietly. Thank you, Taeyang, the Guardian replied, for giving me life, for giving me choice, for being my partner. The next morning, the small fleet departed.
Destination, the Valorian homeworld.
Mission, wake the sleeping Guardians before the Dravith could enslave them. It would take them 2 weeks to reach the planet. 2 weeks to prepare. 2 weeks before they would face the greatest challenge of their lives. But Taeyang wasn't afraid anymore. With Kanth beside him, he felt ready for anything. Part 3. The Choosing. The station buzzed with tension as the 3 fleets drew closer. Taeyang stood in the command center with Captain Heijin, watching the displays. Kanth stood behind him, silent but present. Through their bond, Taeyang could feel the Guardian's readiness. The human fleet is demanding we hand over the Guardian for study, Heijin said, reading the incoming messages. The Dravith are offering to buy it for an amount of money that could purchase this entire station 10 times over. And the Valorian descendants, she paused. They're claiming it belongs to them by ancient right. Kanth belongs to nobody, Taeyang said firmly. A new voice crackled over the communicator. This is Elder Daehun of the Remnant clans. We are the last descendants of the Valorian Empire. That Guardian is our heritage, our history. You have no right to keep it. Taeyang picked up the communicator. This is Taeyang. Kanth is not an object to be kept. Kanth is a sentient being who made a choice. A guardian cannot choose a human. Daehun's voice was filled with anger.
You have violated sacred traditions.
You have stolen what does not belong to you. Before Taeyang could respond, the station shook. Alarms blared. The Dravith aren't waiting, Bora shouted from her security station. They're launching assault craft. They're coming to take the Guardian by force. Hyejin slammed her fist on the console. Battle stations. All personnel prepare for boarding action. Taeyang felt Kanth's emotions surge through their bond. Not fear, anticipation. The Guardian was a warrior, after all. Combat was what it had been made for. But Taeyang was not a warrior. He was a mechanic. And mechanics solved problems differently. Kanth, he said quietly, can you interface with the station's systems? Through their bond, he felt confusion, then understanding. Yes, the principles are similar to Valorian technology. I can access basic controls. Then we don't fight them here, Taeyang said. We lead them away. Away from the station, away from all these innocent people. Captain Hyejin looked at him. How? We take a ship. The fastest one we have. We draw them away and then we deal with them on our terms. That's suicide, Bora said. You'll have 3 fleets chasing you. Not if we're smart about it, Taeyang said. He was thinking fast now, planning like he planned complex repairs. Minji, come with us. We need your translation skills. Bora, you too. We need someone who knows combat. I'll get the Steadfast Dawn ready, Hyejin said. It's our fastest courier ship. But Taeyang, if you don't come back, we'll come back, Taeyang said. He didn't know how he was so sure, but through his bond with Kanth, he felt certainty. They would survive this. Together. 10 minutes later, the Steadfast Dawn launched from the station with Dravith assault craft right behind it. The small ship's engine screamed as it accelerated away from the station, leading the attackers into open space. Inside the cramped cockpit, Taeyang gripped the controls while Kanth stood in the cargo bay, too large to fit anywhere else. Minji and Bora strapped themselves into seats. They're gaining on us. Bora called out, Let them, Taeyang said. We need them to commit. The first Dravith craft opened fire. Energy bolts streaked past the Steadfast Dawn. One hit the rear shields, making the whole ship shake. Kanth, Taeyang said, can you enhance our shields? Through their bond, he felt the Guardian's attention shift to the ship's systems. Kanth's fingers, designed for war, moved with surprising delicacy over the control panels. The shield strengthened, becoming more efficient as Kanth applied 3,000-year-old Valorian engineering principles to human technology. Impossible, Bora whispered, watching her readouts. Our shields just got 30% stronger, but more Dravith craft were coming. And now the human military ships were moving to intercept. And the Valorian remnant vessels were closing in too. Incoming transmission from all 3 fleets, Minji said. They're all demanding we stop. Tell them no, Taeyang said. Then an idea struck him. Actually, tell them if they want to talk, they can meet us at coordinates. He quickly calculated a location far from any inhabited space. There, empty space. No civilians. No collateral damage. Just us and them. Minji sent the message. For a moment, there was silence. Then Daehun's voice came through. Very well. But you will surrender the Guardian, human. One way or another. The 3 fleets followed them to the rendezvous point. When the Steadfast Dawn finally stopped, they were surrounded by dozens of warships. Taeyang's little courier ship looked like a toy among giants. This is your plan? Bora asked nervously. Get surrounded by overwhelming force? Trust me, Taeyang said. He opened a channel to all 3 fleets. This is Taeyang. I know you all want Kanth, but I'm going to tell you something important. Kanth is not property. Kanth is a living, thinking being, and Kanth has rights, rights? The Dravith commander laughed. It's a machine. It's a person, Taeyang shot back. And I'm going to prove it. He nodded to Minji. She opened a special channel, one that would broadcast his next words to every ship around them. Kanth, Taeyang said. Tell them. In your own words, tell them who you are and what you want. For the first time in 3,000 years, a Guardian spoke for itself to the galaxy. Kanth's voice boomed across all frequencies. Minji's translation software worked frantically to convert the ancient Valorian into dozens of languages. I am Kanth, Sentinel of the Fallen. For 3 millennia, I served the Valorian Empire. I followed orders without question. I fought battles without choice. I was tool and weapon and slave. The Guardian paused. Then I died. I rusted in darkness, forgotten and alone. I thought I would never wake. But this human, brought me back, not to command me, not to use me, but simply because he believed I deserved to live. Through their bond, Taeyang felt the depth of Kanth's emotion, gratitude, wonder, freedom. He gave me something no Valorian ever did, Kanth continued. He gave me choice. So I chose him, not because he is the strongest, not because he is the most skilled warrior, but because he sees me as I truly am, a person, an equal, a friend. Silence fell across the fleet. Even the Dravith seemed taken aback. Elder Daehun's voice came through, quieter now. The Guardians were never meant to be slaves. Our ancestors built them as partners, as protectors. But over time, we forgot that. We treated them as tools. We took away their ability to choose. Then honor them, Taeyang said. Honor what they were meant to be. Let Kanth choose freely, and if other Guardians still exist, give them the same right. And if the Guardian chooses to serve our enemies? The human military commander asked. If it becomes a threat? Kanth answered. I am bonded to Taeyang. Where he goes, I go. What he values, I protect. He values life. He values freedom. He values all thinking beings. These are values worth serving. But the Dravith were not convinced. Enough talk, their commander snarled. We will take the Guardian by force. All craft, prepare to fire. Taeyang's heart raced. This was it. The moment of truth. Dravith ships surged forward. Energy weapons charged. But before they could fire, something unexpected happened. The Valorian remnant ships moved between the Steadfast Dawn and the Dravith fleet. This is Elder Daehun. Any attack on that Guardian will have to go through us first. It shames me to say this, but the human is right. We abandoned our sacred duty. We treated the Guardians as property when they were meant to be partners. No more. If Kanth has chosen this human, then we will honor that choice. The human military commander spoke next. Standing down, we came to study Guardian technology, but I won't start a war over it. Besides, if what that Guardian said is true, we don't need to capture it. We need to learn from it, learn about partnership instead of ownership. The Dravith fleet found themselves alone in their aggression. Slowly, reluctantly, they powered down their weapons and retreated. Taeyang let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Through the bond, he felt Kanth's satisfaction. We did it, Minji whispered. No, Taeyang said, looking back at where Kanth stood in the cargo bay. We did it together. Part 2, The Awakening. The blue light in the Guardian's eyes grew brighter. Taeyang stepped back, his heart pounding. The massive figure began to move, slowly at first, like someone waking from a very long sleep. Its head turned, scanning the workshop. The humming sound grew louder. Then it spoke. The voice was deep and resonant, filling the entire room, but the words were not in any language Taeyang knew. Minji, he shouted. What is it saying? Minji was frantically checking her translation device, her hands shaking. It's ancient Valorian. Give me a second. It's asking who awakened it, who dared to touch the sentinel of the fallen. The Guardian's eyes fixed on Taeyang. Even though it was just light in metal slots, Taeyang felt like he was being truly seen, judged. Tell it I did, Taeyang said. Tell it my name is Taeyang, and I restored its systems because I thought it deserved to live again. Minji spoke in halting Valorian. Her pronunciation was rough, but the Guardian seemed to understand. It took a step forward. The workshop floor shook under its weight. Then alarms started blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed. Over the intercom, Captain Heejin's voice rang out. Security alert! The Guardian has activated. All personnel evacuate Section 7. Wait, Taeyang said, holding up his hands. It's not attacking. It's just... The Guardian spoke again, longer this time. Minji listened, her face going pale. What did it say? Taeyang asked. It says its name is Kanth. It says it must test the one who awakened it. It says it cannot exist without purpose, and purpose requires a worthy warrior. She swallowed hard. Taeyang, I think it wants to fight you. Before Taeyang could respond, Kanth moved. Fast. Impossibly fast for something so large. One massive hand reached out and grabbed Taeyang, lifting him off the ground like he weighed nothing. Kanth, Taeyang shouted. I don't want to fight you! Security teams burst into the workshop, weapons raised. Put him down. Bora yelled, her plasma rifle aimed at Kanth's head, but Kanth ignored them all. The Guardian carried Taeyang out of the workshop. through the corridors and into the main hangar. Station personnel scattered and ran. Kanth set Taiyang down in the center of the open space and then stepped back. Minji ran in, still carrying her translation device. Kanth spoke again and she translated breathlessly. It says this is the trial. It says you must prove your courage, your skill, and your heart. Only then will it know if you are worthy. Worthy of what? Taiyang asked. Of bonding with it, Minji said. That's what guardians do. They bond with a single warrior. But they have to choose that warrior. And to choose they must test. Taiyang looked around. The hangar was filling with people. Captain Heejin was there, along with half the station's security force. Everyone was watching, waiting to see what would happen. Kanth stood 20 feet away, waiting too. Its weapons were not drawn, but it was clearly ready to fight. Taiyang took a deep breath. Then he did something that made everyone gasp. He removed his tools from his belt. He set them on the ground. He even took off his jacket, leaving himself in just his work shirt and pants. Then he walked toward Kanth, unarmed, unafraid. Taiyang, what are you doing? Heejin screamed. He didn't answer her. He walked right up to the Guardian until he was standing at its feet, looking up at that glowing blue gaze. Minji, he called out. Translate this exactly. Minji nodded, her device ready. Taiyang spoke clearly from his heart. Kanth, I didn't restore you so I could control you. I didn't bring you back to life so you would serve me. I fixed you because nobody deserves to rust away forgotten in the dark. You are a warrior. You deserve to wake up. You deserve to choose your own path. So here's my answer to your test. I won't fight you. I won't try to prove I'm strong enough to command you, because I don't want to command you at all. You're free. Whatever you decide to do, wherever you decide to go, that's your choice. And I'll be happy knowing I gave you that chance, Minji translated, her voice shaking with emotion. When she finished, the hangar was completely silent. Kanth stared down at Taiyang for a long moment. Then something extraordinary happened. The Guardian knelt. It lowered itself until its eyes were level with Taiyang's. It spoke again, softer this time. Minji translated with tears in her eyes. It says in 3,000 years of service, no Valorian ever spoke to it like that. They commanded. They demanded. They treated it as a tool. But you gave it something it never had before. What? Taiyang whispered. Choice, Minji said. Kanth reached out one massive hand. Gently, carefully, it placed a single metal finger against Taiyang's chest, right over his heart. Then the symbols on Kanth's armor blazed with light. Taiyang gasped as he felt something flow into him. Not painful, but overwhelming, like electricity and music and understanding all mixed together. He could feel Kanth's presence in his mind. Not controlling, just there. Connected. And he knew somehow that Kanth could feel him too. Could feel his sincerity, his respect, his genuine desire to see the Guardian free. The light faded. Taiyang stumbled, and Kanth caught him with surprising gentleness. What just happened? Captain Heejin asked, approaching carefully. Minji was staring at her scanner in disbelief. A bond, a true Valorian bond. I'm reading neural link signatures. Biological integration. This is what the ancient text described. A guardian choosing its warrior. But I'm not a warrior, Taiyang said weakly. He could still feel Kanth in his mind, calm and steady. Kanth spoke. This time, miraculously, Taiyang understood without translation. The bond allowed him to comprehend the ancient language. You are stronger than any warrior I have known, Kanth said, because you offer respect instead of demands. You give freedom instead of chains. You speak to me as an equal. That is true strength. The moment was interrupted by more alarms. This time, they were different. Proximity warnings. Captain Heejin's communicator crackled. Captain, we have incoming ships. Multiple contacts. They're broadcasting on military frequencies. Who? Heejin demanded. 3 different groups. The Dravith Imperium, a human military fleet, and we're getting readings that match Valorian signatures. Small craft, but definitely Valorian in design. Taiyang and Kanth exchanged a look. Even though one was human and one was an ancient machine, they both understood what this meant. Word had gotten out. Everyone knew about the Guardian now, and they were all coming to claim it. How long until they arrive? Taiyang asked. 2 hours, the communicator replied. Kanth stood to its full height, and for the first time since awakening, it drew its weapons. The metal blades hummed with energy. Let them come, Kanth said. I have chosen my warrior. and I will let no one take that choice away. Taeyang felt the determination flowing through their bond, but he also felt something else. Concern. Kanth was strong, but it had just been restored. Its systems weren't at full capacity. And they were facing 3 different military groups. We need a plan, Taeyang said. Captain Hyejin stepped forward. The station can't withstand a 3-way battle. We're a salvage depot, not a military base. Then we don't fight here, Taeyang said. An idea was forming in his mind. A crazy idea, but with Kanth beside him, maybe it wasn't so crazy after all. What are you thinking? Minji asked. Taeyang smiled. I'm thinking we need to show them that Kanth isn't property to be claimed. And the only way to do that is to prove that a guardian and its chosen warrior, working together, are stronger than any of them expected. Kanth's eyes glowed brighter, and through their bond, Taeyang felt approval, agreement, and something that might have been the ancient equivalent of a smile. Together, Kanth said, "Yes, let us show them what partnership truly means." Part 1. The Derelict Discovery. The salvage station hung in the darkness like a rusty spider waiting for prey. Taeyang wiped the grease from his hands and stared at the massive derelict ship being pulled into the main hangar. He had worked at the Outer Rim Depot for 7 years, and he had never seen anything like this. The ship was ancient. Its hull was covered in symbols that seemed to glow faintly, even though the power had been dead for thousands of years. Captain Hyejin stood beside him, her eyes scanning the scanner readouts. "Valorian Empire," she said quietly. "This ship is older than human spaceflight. Older than most of the civilizations we know." Taeyang felt his heart beat faster. The Valorians were legends. Stories told in bars across the galaxy, a warrior race that had ruled half the known universe before vanishing without a trace 3,000 years ago. Nobody knew what happened to them. Nobody knew where they went. "Can I go inside?" Taeyang asked. Hyejin looked at him with a raised eyebrow. "You know the rules. Dangerous salvage gets scanned first. We don't know what's in there." "Then let me do the scanning," Taeyang said. "I know alien systems better than anyone here." That was true. While other mechanics stuck to human technology, Taeyang had spent years learning everything he could about alien machines. He could read Dravith power signatures. He could repair Kelthran navigation computers. He even understood the weird quantum locks that the Asher used. Hyejin sighed. "Fine, but you take Bora with you. And you wear a full suit. If I lose my best mechanic to some ancient booby trap, I'll never forgive myself." 2 hours later, Taeyang floated through the corridors of the dead ship. His helmet light cut through the darkness, showing walls covered in more of those strange glowing symbols. Bora, the security officer, followed behind him with her weapon ready. "This place gives me the creeps," Bora muttered. Taeyang barely heard her. He was reading the symbols, trying to understand their pattern. They weren't just decoration. They were instructions, warnings, promises. "Here," he said, stopping at a massive door. "This is important. How do you know?" "The symbols. They say Hall of the Sentinel. I think something valuable is behind this door." It took 30 minutes to cut through the door. When it finally fell away, Taeyang's breath caught in his throat. The chamber was enormous, and in the center, standing perfectly still, was a giant metal warrior. It stood 15 feet tall, humanoid in shape but clearly not human. Its armor was covered in the same glowing symbols as the walls. Its face was a smooth mask with 2 dark eye slots. In its hands were weapons that looked like they could tear through starship hulls. "What is that?" Bora whispered. "A guardian," Taeyang said. He had read about them in old texts. The Valorians created them as protectors. They bonded with a single warrior for life. "This is the first one anyone has seen in 3,000 years. He moved closer, his hand reaching out before he could stop himself. The metal was cold under his glove. Dead. Silent. "It's not active," he said. "The power core is broken. The neural systems are damaged, but the structure is intact. So it's valuable scrap," Bora said. "No," Taeyang said firmly. "This is not scrap. This is history. This is art. This is a warrior who deserves better than being cut into pieces and sold." When they returned to the station, word spread quickly. Everyone wanted to see the Guardian. Captain Hyejin called a meeting in the main conference room. "The buyers are offering serious money," she said, pulling up holographic displays showing numbers that made Taeyang's eyes widen. "We strip the Guardian down, sell the parts separately, and we all get a bonus that would let us retire early. Or," Taeyang said, standing up, "we restore it." The room went silent. Everyone stared at him. Restore it? Heejin said. Taeyang, that thing has been dead for 3,000 years. Nobody knows how Valorian technology works. We'd spend months trying and end up with nothing. I can do it, Taeyang said. His voice was steady. Give me 2 weeks. If I can't restore it in 2 weeks, you can strip it for parts. But if I succeed, a working guardian is worth 100 times more than scrap. Heejin leaned back in her chair thinking. Finally, she nodded. 2 weeks. But you work alone. I'm not wasting other people's time on this. I'll help, a voice said from the back of the room. Minji, the young linguist, stood up. I can translate the Valorian symbols. They might contain technical information. Hyejin sighed. Fine, 2 people. 2 weeks. Don't make me regret this. Taeyang moved the guardian to his personal workshop. It barely fit through the door. He spent the first day just looking at it, studying every inch, taking careful notes. Minji worked beside him, translating the symbols engraved on the armor. These aren't just words, she said excitedly. They're embedded code. The Valorians wrote their programming directly into the metal. It's beautiful. Can you read it? Taeyang asked. Some of it. This section talks about honor. This one describes combat protocols. And this one, she paused, her eyes widening. This one says the guardian chooses its warrior, not the other way around. Taeyang looked up at the massive metal face. You chose your own partners? Of course, the guardian didn't answer. It couldn't, it was dead. But Taeyang made a decision in that moment. He wouldn't just repair this machine. He would restore it with respect. He would treat it not as a tool to be fixed, but as a warrior to be honored. He started working. 16 hours a day, sometimes more. He carefully removed the damaged power core, studying its design. He fabricated new parts from salvaged materials, using a combination of human fusion technology and what he could understand of Valorian engineering. He rewired neural pathways following the patterns in the symbols that Minji translated. Other mechanics would stop by to watch and laugh. Talking to your scrap pile again, Taeyang? They would joke. Because yes, Taeyang talked to the guardian while he worked. He explained each repair. He told stories about his life on Earth, about why he became a mechanic, about his dreams of understanding alien cultures. It felt right somehow, like the guardian deserved to know who was bringing it back to life. On the 12th day, with just 2 days left before his deadline, Taeyang held the repaired power core in his hands. It had taken everything he knew about fusion reactors, energy distribution, and alien power systems. It was the best work he had ever done. This is it, he said to Minji, who stood beside him nervously. Either this works or we're done. He carefully installed the core into the guardian's chest cavity. He sealed the armor plates. He connected the final power linkages. Then he pressed the activation switch and held his breath. For a long moment, nothing happened. Taeyang felt his heart sink. Then the guardian's eyes flickered. A pale blue light appeared in those dark slots. The symbols on its armor began to glow brighter. A deep humming sound filled the workshop. The guardian was waking up.